Cool. How do I deliberate practice copywriting? Again, let's go to the basics. To practice copywriting, you have to read copy, write copy. That's it. But your your reading have to be active. Okay, so let's see how this looks like in practice. Let's say I have this sales letter that I'm reading, right? And I'm taking notes. You have to take notes. And these notes that you have here are fleeting notes, right? It's like you catch everything that you think is useful or that uh, catches your attention, and then you transfer some notes into another document on the same. So this is the sales letter. This is the sales letter marked up, and these are my notes, and this is practice. Ignore this. But let's say I mark up my PDF and I make notes there, like you can see, as you can see, and then later when I end taking notes for the day, or maybe the next day, I turn them into notes in a in a text document, right? So in the lead, the page one, he answers some objections like, why is it unique? How do I know it is real? What's in it for me? That's page one. These are my notes, right? This is what I've noticed. And how does he do that? Well, the hook expands on the headline. Right, these are my notes. This is what I'm noticing. So, well, the lead or the hook expands on the headline and then goes with a narrative like open-ended claim about cryptos and shows a big promise, right? And then immediately opens another loop, right? If you're missing out, let's see. Dear reader, with dozens of digital currencies exploding as high as X, Y, and Z%, historians will call today's cryptocurrency market the biggest boom ever. And if you're missing out, you could be cheating yourself out of the only chance you'll ever have to turn a tiny investment into a retirement fortune in almost no time. And it couldn't be easier. Even if you don't know anything about cryptocurrencies, all you have to do is follow my simple 3-step script you see below. Right. I take notes. You can see them. And after I took those notes, I make notes. And there's a difference between taking notes and making notes. Taking notes is just highlighting, right? Like making whole. This part of the copy is this and talks about this. But making notes is all about writing in your own words what the writer is trying to do. So the page in page one, what's the Evaldo? This sales letter was written by Evaldo Albuquerque. So yeah, what's he trying to do in the first page? Well, in the first page is the hook. And what objections is he trying to answer? Why is it unique? How do I know it's real? And what's in it for me? And this is on the hook. Not exactly on page one, but you see I'm making a case for what the lead's doing. So the first thing he does is expand on headline, right? For the first time ever, eccentric millionaire reveals his secret $1 million cryptocurrency script, right? And then he keeps talking about digital currencies. So it expands on the headline and then starts with a narrative like open-ended claim about cryptos and big promise. Well, right, he makes a big promise. What's the big promise? The big promise here. Turn a tiny investment into a retirement fortune in almost no time. But what I've noticed here is that he uses a lot of open loops. And I'm gonna show you how that what that means. I'm gonna delete this later, but just so you can see for yourself. Dear reader, with dozens of digital currencies exploding as IS, da da da. Okay, what do you see here? This is an open loop, right? And it's not an open loop, it's more like a open loop slash sentence, right? This is incomplete. And it forces you to keep reading, right? With dozens of digital currency exploding like da da, then you're in the next line, which is historians will call today's cryptocurrency market the biggest boom ever. Okay, he closed the loop, and he opens another one right, just right after closing one loop. He opens another, like open loop, right? And if you're missing out, you could be cheating yourself out of the only chance you ever have. And then you're forced to read the next to turn an investment into a retirement fortune in almost no time. He closes the loop. And it couldn't be easier. This is not an open loop. Even if you know nothing about cryptocurrencies, all you have to do is follow my simple 3-step script you see below. That's what he does. He does not stop opening loops ever. He's always with an open loop. And when he closes one, he opens another. And if you keep reading copy, you're gonna see for yourself more patterns like these. That's the importance of why you gotta read copy every day, and I'm gonna show you why you should write copy every day along with reading. Okay, so let's say I've noticed this. I noticed that this copywriter Evaldo Albuquerque uses a lot of open loops on his sales letters. Then what I'm gonna do is forget about reading the sales letter, and I'm gonna try to emulate his style so that I get better, right? I'm trying to emulate his style because that's what I'm doing, I'm learning. So let's forget what we just read and we'll try to emulate. And this is my first iteration of the hook. Dear reader, with dozens of cryptocurrencies growing at rates of blah 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 today, experts will call this the biggest boom ever. And if you're missing out, you will lose a chance to turn a small investment into a fortune in a matter of months forever. That's what I wrote yesterday, trying to emulate his style. And then I compare and I notice some things that I could do better. What are they? I wrote, with dozens of cryptocurrencies growing at rates of blah 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 today, experts will call this time the biggest boom ever. And he wrote, with dozens of digital currencies exploding, right? So he writes digital currencies and not cryptocurrencies. What that does, I think, why did he use digital currencies instead of cryptocurrencies? I think he uses that to add variation to a burned out concept, right? So I think it's better to say digital currencies exploding than cryptocurrencies growing, right? Digital currencies adds variation to a burnout concept, and growing is not as impactful as exploding. So I'm already, by writing, what I'm doing is catch my flaws because I'm gonna write something, and after I write something, I can compare to the work of a copywriter that's better than me. This is like the best of the best copywriters. This is Evaldo Albuquerque. So I have a model here, and I have my iteration to emulate this professional copywriter. And I start to notice some flaws. That's what I want because if I don't write, I can't see my flaws. That's the importance of writing each day at least whatever. You have you you ideally want to write each day. It doesn't matter if it's only 3, 4 lines. You have to write, right? If you don't, how in the world can you correct your mistakes and improve if you're not writing and you're not comparing your writing against the writing of a professional copywriter or whatever that you're trying to improve on your writing style, be it a copywriter, be it a novel writer, whatever. You have your model and you want to copy it because that's what deliberate practice and proposal practice is. You want to be great, right? What did you do to become great at what you do? Well, You first start by imitating the greats and then you innovate. But you can't innovate if you are not imitating the professionals in your field. This is what I'm doing. So these are my observations. I write experts will call this time the biggest boom ever. And today is more palpable than this epoch. And this is what Evolve does. Historians will call today's cryptocurrency market the biggest boom ever. And I wrote experts will call this time the biggest boom ever. So what's more impactful is this word today rather than this time of this epoch. What today is more probable, right? And if you're missing out, you will lose the chance to turn a small investment into a fortune in a matter of months forever. Let's compare. And if you're missing out, you could be cheating yourself out of the only chance you ever have. And I just wrote, you will lose the chance. Why I think Evaldo wrote, you could be cheating yourself out of the only chance you'll ever have, instead of you will lose the chance. I think that this sounds more indirectly suggestive. Like he's not saying you will lose the chance or you will not make money. You will not make money. He's not saying that. He's just suggesting it indirectly. Right? It's less direct. It's more like indirect. You could be cheating yourself. But although it isn't direct, it makes the claim more agitating than saying you lost the chance. Because the fact that you don't know if that's what's gonna happen makes the claim more agitating because you want he you don't know if you will lose the chance, right? You could be losing the chance. I'm not assuring you like you're gonna lose it, because if I say you're gonna lose it that directly, then the reader's just gonna say, okay, you're trying to sell me something, right? And resistance walls will be up. But you're not saying that, you're just suggesting it. You're not too pushy, you're just suggesting it. And the reader, won't have as much resistance to your message if you just keep suggesting instead of being ultra direct. So I think this is another flaw. I could use more suggestions instead of um, direct claims in order to in order to not make the reader resistant to my message. So so you could be cheating yourself out of the only chance you'll ever have is better than just you will lose the chance, right? So wait a sec. To turn a small investment into a fortune in a matter of months forever. So with this forever, I try to mm, make this opportunity unique, like he does. But this part of this sentence right here is broken. It's put below to interrupt so that the reader keeps reading the next line. right? So he doesn't say all of this in one sentence, in one line. He breaks it down into two. You could be cheating yourself out of the only chance you'll ever have. That's an open sentence, like I show you, to turn a tiny investment into a retirement fortune in almost no time. Instead of, you will lose the chance to turn a small investment into a fortune in a matter of months forever. I speak like a 1 year old English. Okay. So, thanks to these observations, I made my next iteration. I forget my my sales letter for a while, and I try to correct these mistakes. This is my second iteration. Dear reader, with dozens of digital money currencies, I try to add that word, exploding as high as X, Y, and Z%, historians will call today's market situation the biggest boom ever. Right? You can see I'm improving. I'm correcting the mistakes I did on my first iteration. I'm not using just cryptocurrencies. I'm trying to add some variation to the concepts that are already overused. And I wrote exploding instead of growing. So that's uh, something, an improvement, right? I'm learning to write by writing. So I have learned that exploding is a better word to imply growth, at least in this context. And if I keep doing this, and you should be doing it too, eventually you will build a pretty solid mental representation of how to write copy, and not only how to write copy, but how to write copy like the best, the best of the best copywriters. Because this is Agora Financial, right? This is a sales letter from Agora Financial. So let's keep reviewing my second iteration. Historians will call today's market situation the biggest boom ever. And if you're missing out, you could be cheating yourself out of the only chance you'll ever have, point dot dot dot, to turn a tiny investment into a gigantic fortune in a matter of 12 months. Let's compare it. I made my second review, just like we did before, and I came up with another observation. He he uses just one line to tell this, to turn a tiny investment into a retirement fortune in almost no time. He tells all of that in just one sentence, in just one line. But I broke it down into four. And this is an observation I did yesterday. And maybe he does not break that sentence too much, because if you break a sentence, you can break sentences, right? He does that. He breaks it here and continues it. He breaks it here and then continues it. And he breaks it here and continues it. So it's not bad. But if you break it and break it and break it like too much, it breaks the flow of the sales letter. So this is my second observation. You see how I am improving just by reading copy and writing copy? This is how it looks like. And this compounds, my friend, this compounds. This is the key to writing better at whatever that you're trying to write. If you want to write essays, what do you do? You read essays and write essays just like that. And this is how you improve. You not only read, you active read, and then you active write. Active write means you write an iteration trying to emulate the writer, and then you correct mistakes after you do your first, second, third iteration. So this is my third iteration, and I left it here. I didn't write anymore yesterday. So iteration number three. And when I'm writing, I don't look at my sales letter. I'm just trying to do it from my mind because we don't want to rewrite or transcribe the sales letter. We're not learning anything. We're trying to come it to come up with our mental representation and then correct it. That's what I that's what we do it from our minds. Dear reader, with millions of digit okay. I try to make another I try to change the topic to make it more variable. Like I'm not only gonna write about cryptos, right? So let's say we're trying to make a sales letter for another product, and this is I try to add some variation. Dear reader, with millions of digital job opportunities exploding as high as X, Y, and even C%, historians will call today's economic the biggest wealth shift in the history since the Industrial Revolution. And if you're missing out, you could be cheating yourself out of the only chance you'll ever have to turn a tiny investment into a gigantic fortune in almost no time. And you see, I corrected this mistake. I don't want to break the flow of the sales letter, so I turned this into this, just one line. Because as I said earlier, I made an observation that if you break your sentences too much, you break the flow of the sales letter. And how do I know that? Because I'm reading and writing copy. So this is what you have to do, and I'm gonna repeat that until death. Because there seems that there seems that people don't want to do this. Even myself, I didn't want to do this. But this is it. This is it. And it couldn't be easier. Any easier. Even if you don't know about anything about digital jobs, you can profit from this trend without actually doing any of the dirty work that comes with it. All you have to do is follow my 3-step script below. Ah, this is an observation that I'm gonna do later. Well, that's it. And what do? We then compare. And I made another observation right here, you can see. Even if you don't know anything about digital jobs, even if you know nothing about cryptocurrencies, you can profit from this trend without actually doing any of the dirty work that comes with it. All you have to do is follow my 3-step script below. All you have to do is follow my simple three-step script you see below. This is a word that I could use, that I didn't use, because you have to make this easy. You have to make it seem easy. And if you say simple, my simple three-step script below is better to the reader because, okay, it's easy. What you're gonna show me is easy, but what I'm not doing it here. All you have to do is follow my three-step script below. Would sound better if I said all you have to do is follow my simple three script below. So I'm learning to write and use these kinds of words to imply the emotion easy on my reader. Again, and my next iteration would be trying to correct that mistake. I want to imply that this is simple and easy. It's useful to do that because we don't want our reader to think that our solution that we're selling them is something hard. No, we have to sell them that is something easy and simple and big. New, easy, safe, and big. That's how you do it. Hope you learned something from it. This, and we'll see you later in another video. But don't forget what you just learned today. Read copy, write copy. Read copy means read with a pencil. Active read copy every day. Write copy every day, like this, and then correct your mistakes, comparing your writing against your model. That's it. Active read and active write. Eventually, if you keep writing, you're gonna come up with a portfolio that you can show to a prospect. So it's a win-win. You cannot pitch a prospect if you're not practicing and if you're not good. This is what we're doing. So forget about that. Sit your ass and read and write copy. That's it. That's it. That's it. There's no more. Don't overcomplicate it. You just have to active read and active write. So good luck with that. Don't forget, active read, active write.